What's up everybody, David here, and today we are checking out the brand new Dave Otero Drumshotz by Drumforge. Dave Otero is the master metal engineer and record producer, and he is the next in line to get his own signature pack of Drumshotz. Now, in case you don't know what Drumshotz is a pack of one-shot drum samples. Now, one-shot drum samples are incredibly simple to describe. They are one single drum sample. They are not multi-velocity. There is no soft, medium, or hard hit. It is one hard hit that is meant to bring you consistency and power to your mixes. Obviously, this can sound very robotic if you were to replace a whole drum with a one-shot. Don't do that. These are meant to be blended in with your original drum sound, with your live drums, with your sample drums, whatever it may be. They are meant to be blended in, not replaced. Alright, hello, obvious reshoot, because my hair is much longer in this clip than in the last clip. So we're going to be using my song Waste Away for this example. If you like what you hear in the song, if you want to mix it for yourself, you can do that for free by checking out the link to the original song down in the description below, as always. So now that we have that out of the way, let's jump into the DAW and check out the Dave Otero Drumshotz. So this is what the song sounds like right now. There are no vocals. This is not the original mix. I actually just reworked some elements of the mix, the drums, bass, and guitars for this demo. And this is what it sounds like right now with no drum samples. For these drums, I actually hired a session drummer by the name of Ernie Slankovich. He played and tracked these drums himself, and he did an incredible job. They sound phenomenal. And I love the mixing I have on it right now. It's actually, if I pull up the mixer, you'll see it's very minimalistic as far as mixing goes. Mixer console, faders. So pretty minimal on the drum side. But I feel like we can just get it that little extra 5 to 10%, and we're gonna do that using Drumshotz. So the way I have the Drumshotz set up, the MIDI is already done and imported into the session. I believe I did this with Superior Drummer 3, but the MIDI is on a sampler track, which is where I am currently loading the Drumshotz. I just load them into the sampler track, engage the one-shot mode, and you're good to go. Of course, make sure the root key is on the same note as your MIDI note, so that the Drumshotz play in the right pitch if you're using this method. So the way we're gonna do this is I'm just gonna go through each kit piece and I'm gonna show you what kind of samples come in the kit, and then we're gonna try them all out. So we're gonna start with the kick drum. These are the samples that come with the kick drum. What's really cool is you have a few different types. You have the dry and smack enhancer, and a couple have a verb on them. So the dry is gonna be pretty much your full kick drum, and the smack enhancer is really gonna focus on the top end. So if you have a drum kit, let's say a kick drum that you love and you have a lot of body, a lot of low end, but there's just not a lot of top end in that kick, you would use the smack enhancer to give it some of that top end and help it poke through the mix. In this case, I'm going to start with the dry kicks, so let's just let's see how these sound. And something you're going to hear me doing is on my other display, I'm actually flipping phase. I'm checking phase a lot, so make sure to keep that in mind. So you might hear the low end drop out in a couple places while I check phase. And let's go ahead and solo the drums for this example. That sounds really great. It's a very full-bodied and rounded kick drum, and the top end kind of lives in the same frequency as my current kick drum, so it blends really well. Let's try the sleigh. That's got a super powerful low end on it. Obviously, right now there is no mixing on any of these Drumshotz. These are just the raw samples on their own. For something like that, I would probably cut a little bit of low end because it is quite a bit, but it sounds fantastic already. So let's move on to the wolf kick. That's got a really nice top end on it as well. So let's try some of these smack enhancers. This is the gut kick. Let's move on to the sleigh kick. Oh, I really like that one. And lastly, the wolf kick. So these smack enhancers I feel like are what I'm really looking for because I like the sound of my kick. I just feel like the top end could be a bit more present, which is where these come in handy. So, and lastly, there are some Verb options here. I'm going to show you what those sound like as well. And we'll check out the wolf kick Verb. I think that would definitely be cool for a slower song, maybe something a little less dense, but in this song, it's not really what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick with the sleigh smack enhancer. I think that works really well with this kick, and we're gonna blend that into our drum sound. And how I blend in my samples is really easy. I just turn the volume down and then slowly turn it up. It's that simple. And like I said, I'm just going to shave off a little bit of low end on that because it is quite powerful. So open up Fab Filter. Not a ton, just a little bit, and now that's sitting really, really well. So let's now move on to the snare drum. All right, let's take a look at what kind of samples are available in the snare. For the snare drum, you have a little bit more actually. So the snare, you have a dry, a mixed, a room, a smack enhancer, and then a verb. So there's a lot of different options here. And once again, we'll go through each one and check them out. So snare dry. And let's check out the gut snare. So those are really chunky and thick sounding snare drums. Let's try a sleigh. Okay, I really like that one already. That one is super punchy. And then wolf snare. All right, that sounds great, but it's not really what I'm looking for here. So let's try the Doomhammer mixed. All right, so it's already got reverb and everything, so that would be great for just a huge snare bomb type thing. So you could throw that in on certain parts of your song just as a snare bomb. That's already great. Gut snare mixed. A lot of bottom end in that one. That one sounds really cool. Sleigh snare mixed. This one is quickly becoming my favorite. This sleigh stuff is fantastic. All right, once again, great, but not what I'm looking for. And let's try the room. Or actually, we'll save room because I do have a track for room later. So, smack enhancer, see how that goes. So, not a lot of low-end information in the smack enhancers like you heard in the dry and the mixed because it's mainly trying to get that top end. It does still have a bit of weight to it though, so that's really cool. Smack enhancer. All right, I think out of these, I think I know what I'm feeling. I'm really liking that sleigh snare. I actually just like the dry. it just blends really, really well. I'm really digging that. So let's move on to the Snare Room. So this is the exact same MIDI information, but I'm going to throw some room samples on it. So let's start with the room for the Doomhammer snare. I feel like this is going to be a crazy room sound. Okay, not bad, not bad. So let's try the Verb. Okay, that just screams snare bomb. That's totally snare bomb. And then reverb on the gut snare. I really like that reverb quite a bit. Let's do the room on sleigh. Less top end, a little more weight on that one. And we'll do the Verb on wolf snare now. Okay, that's good too. Let's compare that with the gut. Alright, I think I like that wolf snare. And as always, let's just blend this in. And that's it. I think that sounds great. So let's move on to the toms. So there's only two toms in this one. There's a rack tom and a floor tom, and we're going to use this section right here. Alright, so for the toms, it's kind of the same deal with the kicks. So you have a few different choices. You have the, let me go to the samples here. You have the dry and smack enhancer for a bunch of different sizes of toms. Now, obviously you want to pick a similar size to what you're using on the recording. You want to get the pitch as close as possible. In this case, I believe I use the 10-inch. So I'm going to grab the 10-inch dry here, and let's see how that sounds. That's pretty close already, so let's blend that in. So I'm going to go ahead and loop this section right here. And let's try the smack enhancer on there as well. So that's really just giving you the actual point of contact. It's giving you the stick hit. Let's also try the Yamaha Oak as well. So that one seems to be a little more full-bodied. Alright, I think I'm digging the Yamaha Birch. I like the dry, just throw the full thing in there, and let's blend it in. That's perfect. It's subtle, but it definitely brings that tom to life. And let's do the same with the floor. Let's try the smack enhancer. The smack enhancers actually work incredibly well. Let's try the 15-inch. Alright, a lot of low end on that one. I think that might be a little dark, just like it was with the rack tom, so I'm going to stick with Yamaha Birch. It blends really, really well, and let's blend it to taste just like we did on the rack. Alright, I think that sounds pretty good, so let's actually check out this whole section right here. We'll turn off all the samples and then we'll turn them back on and see what kind of difference we made. So turn off the floor, turn off snare, and kick. So here is the drums on their own, no samples. Alright, here it is once again with all of the samples turned on. Now we're going to check this out one more time, but in the context of a mix. So without the samples. And with the samples. Now, I think that sounds fantastic, and it was incredibly easy to do. As you saw, I basically did no mixing at all on these samples. I just loaded them up, tucked them in, and then we're good to go. Now, something that's really cool that I think a lot of people are going to like with these samples is that I think they're going to be incredibly versatile. Dave Otero is known for, yes, the more extreme side of metal, but I think these are really going to blend with everything. This is obviously not a crazy extreme death metal type song, but I think these blended incredibly well. There's one more small thing I want to touch on, and that's that Drumshotz, or one-shot samples in general, they have literally no dynamics, and drums are pretty much all dynamics, especially when it's a live drummer. So there's a couple ways that you can go about preserving those dynamics so that you don't have anything sounding like a robot. And one way is right here, where you just don't use the drum shots. So if I turn off the ones for the snare, or if I just solo the actual snare track, he's doing a really light snare roll here. I didn't even attempt to put one-shots under those really soft rolls because I don't think there's any way I can get it to sound actually like a human. And I just honestly don't think that they are needed there. So don't be afraid to just take them out in certain sections. You don't need them on every single hit of a song, especially when it's really soft snare rolls like this. And another way to control dynamics is with automation. So let's go to this section right here. Let's play this fill. Specifically this tom track. We're going to solo this and listen to what it's doing. So the tom is hitting soft and then getting gradually harder, and you kind of want to mimic that with the one-shots. So you can see what I did is I've added some volume automation where it dips on the first hit and then slowly gets louder. So let's combine them without automation. Very robotic. You can't even tell that the tom is hitting soft because a one-shot is 100% all the time, and it takes that dynamic out of there. Once you bring in the automation, you have that softer hit in the beginning and it slowly gets harder, it gradually gets louder, and that's what you want. You want to keep that dynamic. So just a little tip for you is that you don't have to use a one-shot on every single hit, and don't be afraid to use volume automation to get things to actually feel like an actual person. Because above all else, you want to preserve the dynamics of the drummer before anything, in my opinion at least. And there you have it. That is the Dave Otero Drumshotz pack. Like I said, I think these are going to be incredibly versatile. They are not just for metal, in my opinion. Granted, this is, I guess, like a metal song, but it's nowhere near the extreme type of metal that Dave Otero is usually working on. So I think they're going to fit in pretty much any style you throw them in. And of course, I want to take a second to thank Drumforge for providing me with these samples to check out. I had a ton of fun with them, and I've already used them in other recordings as well. So They're awesome. Thank you, Drumforge. You guys are dope. So that's it for today. Make sure to check them out at the link in the description below, and also check out all of the other Drumshotz packs as well. There's a ton for you to choose from. On that note, thank you so much for watching. My name is David, and I will see you next time.